This with Oytun Orhan in Ankara. He's a Levant Studies Coordinator at Orsam Center for Middle East Studies. Oytun, thank you so much for staying with us. And one of the big questions with regards to what's happening now is that the SDF and the Syrian government, on the 10th of March, they signed an agreement which meant that SDF forces would be integrated into the Syrian army. Many are now wondering why that hasn't happened and what it now means for fighting in Syria.
I think the reason is the two sides understand different things about the integration. For the Syrian side, for the Syria government, the integration means unconditional integration of the SDF administration and also security structure to the Syrian state. But from a point of view of SDF, they consider this integration as a kind of unity, in which they seek a kind of two-sided entities in Syria, in which they will establish a de facto autonomous entity in their controlled areas. So this is what the Syrian government does not understand from what the integration is. And since the 10th of March, the negotiations are going on, including the external parties. The US is mediating these efforts. Turkey is also on one side. And these efforts had failed. And the result is I think from now on, as these efforts, diplomatic efforts and political solution efforts failed, the Syrian government is trying to take some compelling measures against SDF and YPG to decrease their maximalist demands, because this kind of integration will never be accepted by the Syria government. So in that regard, in order to pave the way for a political solution, I think the government is trying to take some compelling measures against SDF-YPG.
Oytun, you mentioned Turkey there, and of course Turkey has been cooperating greatly with the new Syrian government. And Ankara has said if the SDF fails to implement the agreement and violates the terms of the March 10th agreement, it supports any action that the Syrian government will take. But what kind of involvement do you think we could possibly see from Turkey?
Well, it has been officially declared that the Turkish army will give support to the Syria government. So this is not going to be a kind of Turkish side's unilateral effort or action against the SDF or YPG, but it's going to be a kind of support to the Syrian government efforts to establish its authority and sovereignty in the Syrian territory. So there is now an ongoing security agreement between Damascus and Ankara. In that context, Ankara could give some military support to Syria if needed. But also at the diplomatic side, Turkey is conducting some diplomatic efforts against the US to put more pressure over SDF to lower down their demands. So there are multilateral efforts by the Turkish side to help Syria government to establish its authority. But in the case of a solution, a military solution, which no one wants to see, this is the final solution, because now everybody wants to find a political solution to that problem. But in case this fails, then, and if needed, Turkey will be, I think, ready to give military support to the Syria government in order to establish its sovereignty in the Syrian territories.
Oytun Orhan, really good to get your analysis. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much, sir.